Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. These are the new WE Knives and Christensen Knife Works Thug 2. Definitely an anticipated knife. The original Thug, I think, did really well, and I was excited to find out that they decided to do a larger one. These were sent to me by Christensen Knife Works. Thank you so much. These are prototypes. By the time you guys are seeing this video, they should be available, so I will link them right down below so you guys can check them out. It does help my channel when you use my links, but that is entirely up to you. These are prototypes, but as far as I can tell, there is no difference between this and the actual production variants that are coming out. So we'll just review them as they are. They feel exactly like other WE knives that I've handled. Thanks so much to my patrons for supporting me, and please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. I'm gonna move the carbon fiber guy off the table. We're gonna keep this guy out here for size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat Model 1 and the Ontario Rat Model 2. You can see here, this is definitely a full-size knife. It's got a little more presence than the Rat one, but it's a little bit shorter. How about up against the Spyderco PM2? Whoops, sorry, bumped the camera. And the Spyderco Para 3. This guy is about right in between. You know what would help is if I had actually measured it. So let's go ahead and do that here real quick. Sorry, sometimes I get ahead of myself. Overall length of the Thug 2 is coming in at 7.75 inches with a 3.35 inch blade and a 3¼ inch cutting edge. It's actually a little shorter than I thought it would be. I thought it would be 8 inches, but there you go. It feels like an 8-inch knife. Anyways, up against the Spyderco PM2 and Para 3, kind of right in between. And then last but not least, let's put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue, and the Benchmade Bug Out. Still feels closer to the Ritter Hogue, but it is a little shorter both in handle and in blade. How's the action? The action is extremely similar to other WE knives that I have handled. It is smooth. It's tight, but it'll break in. There's no double clutch or anything like that. Very easy to deploy it with the thumb studs. I much prefer this size to the first one. Absolutely. Very simple. And there's plenty of room to access that lock bar there. You can see nice, big, chunky cutouts. They've also, I say chunky cut, it's just a wide cutout right here. And then they've also scalloped the internal part of that lock bar, so it makes it a little easier to grab onto. The thumb studs are nice and they're nicely placed as well. So really second nature if you're used to any knife that is utilizing thumb studs for deployment, this is going to be very, very easy to manipulate. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It is surprisingly a little bit thicker, but it's contoured. So it really doesn't feel all that thick. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. You can see here this guy is, golly, we're shaking all over the place. Sorry. Come on, camera. Just calm down. There we go. A little bit longer than the Spyderco Para 3. A little shorter than the PM2. Not quite as tall, even at the back end where it kind of swoops up, or at the front, right? This guy's full titanium. The other guy is carbon fiber and titanium. There is a little bit of milling on both of these internally. For weight reduction, on the full tie one, it is actually milled on both sides. I don't know if you can see in there, but yeah, milled on both sides. So we'll weigh both of them here. Weight on the titanium version coming in at 4.73 ounces, which is about what I expected. That is not bad at all, considering the G10 Ritter Hogue weighs 4.59 ounces, right? The carbon fiber boy should be quite a bit less, 4.06. Not perfect ratios, but not bad. I don't think many people are going to be too upset. The carbon fiber one is definitely balanced. It's like right behind the pivot. This guy feels great. The titanium one, a little bit more butt heavy, but I think it's still actually, yeah, it's actually very similar. It's only backed up just a little bit. So neither of them feel all that heavy, but this one is noticeably different. So do with that information what you will. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'll get out my tools as per usual. My tools are, that's not what we use. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. They're both red, so my peripherals failed me. You can get these tools down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. The pivot is a T8, and as is usually the case with we have T8 hardware. We even have T8 pocket clip screws, which is great. And they go all the way through to the other side. Is that the case on both of these? No. On the carbon fiber one, it is not. You have extra hardware. So that's, I was going to say, that would be weird. But they thread these directly into the titanium. So the titanium one actually has less hardware. Neither have mounting positions for left-handed carry. Sorry, lefties. That's just the hand that is often dealt to lefties. Unfortunately. Ouch. I just pinched myself. So yeah, I kind of like this. The two, like, people are like, oh no, but if you strip the threads in the titanium, then you're really screwed, right? When has that, I can't find a single documented case of that ever happening, right? And even if, let's say 10,000 people act as a hive mind and scour the internet for as many, circumstances where somebody can honestly say they accidentally stripped out the threads in a titanium scale while disassembling their knife. I would venture to guess you might find a maximum of 5, right? As someone who couldn't find any. Considering how many knives out there have threaded titanium scales, I would say that's not enough to be a big deal. I kind of prefer the minimal hardware thing, and honestly, the screws with them being longer, this seems like a stronger setup anyway. I don't really have an issue with this at all. So what I'm saying is I don't think that's a valid argument, for not doing that. Why am I trying to wait? I think this is fine. Blade stock thickness. Let's go ahead and measure that here real quick. This is on the thicker side. That's probably 155. Let's give it a shot. Yep, I'm right. 155 thousandths there. Not bad still. It's just thicker than the median for pocket knives in general. Okay, let's talk about the meat and potatoes here. This is a good looking knife. Certainly not a, it's not a handle profile or blade profile that we haven't seen before. This is a classic knife handle profile. And then we have a compound tanto blade. The initial edge, or the primary edge, is hollow ground. And then out here, we have a flat grind, a little bit more strength, definitely. Looks good. This, it's like hand-rubbed concrete. I don't know. We've got the vertical lines here, and then it's got a more subdued, more matte finish. I like it. I think it looks cool. It's the same finish that's on the titanium. I don't know exactly how they're doing it, but I do like it. I also really like it in contrast with bronze or carbon fiber. This is a nice look. It's a nice, dark, aggressive look, and it'll continue to look good and wear pretty well. Like, even if you do get scratches that sort of cross these horizontal lines, this is the type of knife that already kind of looks like it was pulled out of the earth. So as it wears, it really should just add character to it. These darker gray and earthy tones generally seem to wear better anyway, so maybe that's where I'm getting that. But I just like the look of it. The thumb studs are also kind of this deep bronze. It's really nice. The carbon fiber one, I think, especially has a really cool contrast. And the carbon fiber here is very nice. This is the type of carbon fiber that I like to see. I'm not seeing any voids. I like the bigger, more chunkier, kind of, more chunkier is not, I'm sorry about that. Typical carbon fiber has kind of, right? But this more like, heavier, I don't know. It almost looks like flowing water that's black. I like this a little bit more. It looks really good. The ultra shiny stuff, especially when it's flat, just looks like barf to me. This looks way better. The handle profile, the ergonomic profile on this is very good. I like every inch of this, and I'm locking in really nicely. It really makes me feel secure and confident if I were to, take this knife out and use it, put a lot of pressure behind the cuts for an extended period of time. The one thing I don't like is the upturned tip on the pocket clip, and it's not so much, it's really not that aggressive of a rise, but the tip of the pocket clip is thin and pointy. So you're definitely going to feel it. If you're wearing gloves, no, but you're going to feel this a little bit. What I like is, as thin as it is, people will say, oh, it's not a milled clip. It is a milled clip. This is a milled clip. It just gets very thin out here. So that's nice. I wish that bill was, rounded off a little bit more. Or that just, it's just pointy. It doesn't look like it's pointy, but it is, and you can definitely feel it in your palm. But I don't know. It's not a deal breaker. Fit and finish all the way around, typical Wii, extremely good. There are no flaws anywhere, even for this being a prototype. I'm not seeing anything that looks ugly or awkward. The thumb stud is in the cutting path just a little bit. You can see right here, there's a good amount of edge, right? A little more than a quarter, maybe about a quarter inch, a little more than a quarter inch. You can choke up, well, you know what? No, I'm going to pull that back. You can't. Initially, I thought you could, but this really doesn't. This just feels like an enlarged sharpening choil. I wouldn't. I would stay back here. You are quite a ways from the cutting edge if you're going to cut straight down. This is not a deal breaker, but if you're going to cut straight, it's a lot easier to put power into a cut when the edge is right up against your index finger, but you're clear out here. So you're really going to have to come down at an angle to get that pressure into that cut. Fortunately, not everything that we cut requires that type of force or angle. So, naturally this is going to slice all right with the edge being the way that it is. I'm going to have a piece of paper this one's a little bit crumpled up, so bear with me here. Yeah, it's fine. It's kind of an in-between. It's not thin, but it's not thick. It'll definitely slice though. The secondary edge out here towards the tip is definitely going to be thicker, but it is a stronger edge, right? This does taper out to a reasonable pointy tip, so your puncture test will be fine. Not a blade that I would, even though it is a more robust geometry blade, I still wouldn't take this thing out and screw and pry and hammer with it. Obviously, use it as a knife, right? If you get it, the only time where I feel like the geometry comes into play when we're talking about toughness and durability is like if you jam the blade into an area where there's a lot, like it's in between two pieces of material that create a lot of friction. As you pull it out, you kind of twist and pry on the way out, and so a little bit more robustness out here in the secondary edge and out at the tip especially might keep it from breaking versus like other thinner geometry knives. But I'm not suggesting at all that this is the type of blade you should jam into something and pry with. People are going to do that with their pocket knives, right? But if you're going to do that, at least admit that that's not something a pocket knife should be used for. I mean, you should have other tools, right? You should have a pry bar or something. Yeah, I mean, it might survive a little bit better in an extreme scenario. There's no jimping, which is surprising. I really think they should have jimped this whole area right here, but okay, no big deal. The blade looks nice. This is not the first time I've seen a compound tanto, but I appreciate the straight lines. I like the flat that runs through the middle, adding even more strength to the blade. I like the size of the swedge. It really brings out that aggro look of this knife. The Wii Thug has a pretty distinct look despite having lines that we have seen many, many times in the course of the knife world. But it's still, when you see this profile, it's like, that's a Thug, right? We just know what it looks like. And I don't know if it's because the flat is more towards the middle and we have this bigger swedge here, but it's just, it's something that I instantly recognize. And I like it. Something else I really like is how big the pivot collar is, because you can actually notice and enjoy it. They also contoured that pivot collar so it matches the contouring of the scales. That's really nice. We have a backspacer with a lanyard bar, which is the best way to do that. So you don't have to look at a hole right here. The pocket clip, like I said, is milled. I do appreciate that the clip is shorter. That's nice. I don't like it when the clips are like way up here. The carry depth is going to be about right here, so not a lot of knife sticking up out of your pocket. This is very easy. There's quite a bit of tension on this clip here. Obviously, that can be changed, but still, in and out of the pocket is fairly simple. There's no texturing underneath the clip. It's nice and smooth, so easy in and out of the pocket. There is a lock bar insert that doubles as the over travel stop, so that's great. We have a stop pin located in its traditional spot. No shouldering, but it doesn't need it. This knife runs on bearings and is nice and consistent in here, as I mentioned earlier. No blade play up, down, left, or right. No double clutch, no lock stick, no pivot lash, and a nice clicky detent with perfect centering. This guy is the same, but the centering is a little off. I'm not going to judge it. This one's obviously been used by some other reviewers, right? So it's probably just needs a turn of the pivot or something like that to get it to come slightly back over this way. But everything feels almost exactly the same, right? I like these knives. I think they look cool. I like this design aesthetic, and I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure I mentioned in the Thug review, I was like, I like this, make it bigger, right? And I think a lot of people felt that way. If you buy this knife, you're going to be happy with its quality. You just hands down. There's going to be a few different variants, the ones that I saw. In my time, I'm recording this like, you guys are seeing it probably 3 weeks after I'm recording it. Because I try not to release these reviews of knives if I can help it. Sometimes I can't help it, right? But stuff like this that I get way before it releases, I try to release the review when the knife is available, right? Now, if you go down there and you find that it's sold out, don't get mad at me because people are buying them as they're watching this video, right? That's just what's going to happen. But I try to release it when they are released to retailers so that people actually have a shot at it. If you buy this knife, you are going to be happy with the quality. Buying the knife is the part that you're going to have to bite the bullet on because the price on this thing is kind of, wow. The base price, the least expensive one you can get is this guy. Blade HQ showed the pre-order price, what it's actually going to come out at. And this is not MSRP. This is what it's going to list as on Blade HQ. $299. The carbon fiber one, for some reason, because now all of a sudden we've decided that carbon fiber is more expensive than titanium. What? This is apparently $345. You can get a flamed titanium one that's got a satin finish blade, because this finish will absolutely be available in the production, like the full production variants. That's $345 or $350. What? No. No. That makes no sense to me. The ZT-0562, which is mostly made in the United States, is right around that same territory, right? You could argue that these knives have a little more detail in them. Not a lot, though. These knives are made in China. We've been creeping up their prices a lot lately. I think people know that this is it's nothing against Christensen Knife Works at all. This is a cool design, right? Sometimes things are priced a little higher because they're cool. They know the demand is going to be a little higher for these things. It is cool. And if you want to buy it, if you can choke down that price tag, you're going to be happy with this knife. But I think the price is kind of crazy. The titanium one, I think, should have come in at about $250, right? Carbon fiber definitely should have. Let's say you do $250 for the carbon fiber, $275 for titanium, and then if you really want to charge $300 for the wildest, craziest version, which it won't be, if they offer this in Damasteel, they'll be like $650 because that makes sense. Apparently, it doesn't. Right, but yeah, pricing should have been more $250 to $300, not $300 to $350. There's just a lot, and even there, I'm trying to be nice because even there, it still feels a little high, right? I'm even considering inflation. People say, "Oh, well, inflation, you got to factor that in." I'm considering that, right? I remember when We Knives, this exact same build would cost you $180, $190, through We Knives. Over the years, inflation, other things, supply shortages, which don't seem to be a factor anymore. I get it. So, so let's say $250 to $300. We is still quite a bit higher than their competition. And the competition, it used to be that the competition was lower, but the quality didn't really match We Knives. Not really anymore. You got a lot of companies that are out there, pushing crazy high quality for quite a bit less money. So it really makes the price on these guys feel kind of high, right? I like the knife. I think it's cool. If you buy it, you're going to be happy with it. But I can't tell you to rush out and buy this at that price. No. I would say, if they had come in at $225 for the carbon fiber and $250 for tie, I'd have been like, heck yeah, go for it. You're going to be really, but these are they're too high, right? Cool knife. Very cool knife. I love the aesthetic. I honestly really like this. I don't get to keep these. These are, I don't get a free knife or anything from this review, right? Not that ever changes what I say. I've done plenty of, knife reviews where I get to keep the knife and I still say, thanks, I hate it. Yeah, I wish that I got one of these, but with that price, that's the only way that I'd keep it. I wouldn't go out of my way to buy it personally. So that's really all I can say. Cool knife, bit too expensive. That's going to be pretty much it from me today, guys. Thanks again to Christensen Knife Works for sending this in for me to take a look at. Really cool stuff, definitely. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.